ConcreteJungle is a community project supported by Green Room 136. Looking for awesome bags for your urban carry? Check out greenroom136.com for urban bags designed and handmade in Malaysia. greenroom136.com. Music for this podcast is courtesy of Guitar Wizard Samad. Buy his album at asamad.bandcamp.com. Morning, James. Welcome to the show. Now, before we begin talking about Doghouse Productions, let's talk about yourself. Let's share with us a little bit about where you're from and what were you doing. What were your earlier academic training and so on before you came to filmmaking?
Okay, I'm actually from Ipoh. My parents and family are still in Ipoh. So I think my background is up to Diploma College in graphic design, and that's my original background. And the reason I went to graphic design is because I love comics.
Right.
Yeah, I read a lot of comics, especially the Japanese comics, and also back in those days it was Marvel and DC, the biggest brand in comics. So my dream was actually to become a comic artist. So that's how I ended up in graphic design, and that's how I come into knowledge about storyboarding. So that was one of the things that we were taught, storyboarding for film and any visual production, a storyboard, which is quite similar to comic panels. And I found it very interesting and was quite amazed the fact that the actual filmmaking process actually go through this storyboarding. Because I think back in early 90s, the idea of directing a film is virtually like unthinkable.
Yeah, because those were the analog days,
Yeah, things were expensive. I don't know any people who have made films. Not like none of my family members got a video camera or Super 8 camera.
Yeah.
It was almost like only like it's something big. People like Chow Yun-fat, Jackie Chan. It's those type of stuff like you can't imagine you can do film because it's big. Yeah, so I think that doing graphic design, when I found that actually you need to go through this storyboarding, this visual process before you put it onto the film, makes me a bit more curious on the fact that maybe I could use what I know and get involved in film.
Were you already interested in film, or you
Yes,
were more interested in comics at that time?
More in the comics, but I think the thing is that I watch a lot of films too.
Right.
But never have the thought of like I want to do, because I think it's so crazy.
So out of the way.
Yeah, so out of the way.
Unattainable.
Yeah, and back in those days. Okay, so I thought maybe with this skill I could get into anything that's filmmaking or TV, But the thing is like back in those days too, I think a lot of local productions doesn't actually use storyboard. Even some of the professional feature films that use, they kind of skip through this process because of money or a lot of reasons. Yeah, freestyle.
Kampung style.
Yeah, whatever style. But I think this then only I realized that you can make money actually being a storyboard artist. Very good money if you're very good, and there's a lot of projects. But I think a lot of people kind of like skip through the process. They want to save costs.
Yes.
And then after I graduated, I actually worked as a graphic designer and a tech support for a computer with a fruit name.
Oh, that sounds familiar, because I work with a computer company with a fruit name too.
Okay, yeah. Last time when they first came out, so I was a graphic designer. That was the time when this computer system was trying to go into the desktop publishing and arts. So I was doing all this for 5 years. And
you were working with a company, or you were
company.
working with a? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that time you were still in Ipoh, or?
In Cal, after I graduated in Saito in PJ, so immediately I start work. Then I was a junior graphic designer for 1 or 2 years, and then in between I was that tech support for the computer system that was trying to enter into the graphic and desktop
Tech
publishing.
support on the phone, or you working for the company?
For not the main company, but the partners in Malaysia.
Oh, a reseller.
Yeah, reseller, correct.
Right. Okay.
So we take all the costs and all stuff, and
I think we can pretty much say it's Apple.
Yeah, it's Apple. So it was great. It was a time where Photoshop, Illustrator, and QuarkXpress, all this was coming in. QuarkXpress, FrameMaker, I got, and I get to learn.
Which reseller was that?
I forgot, but it's in KL, near Hard Rock.
Near Hard Rock, Sapura.
I'm not sure if it is Sakura. Yeah, I forgot already. It was so long.
Before that was Uniform.
Maybe so. It's either Sakura or Uniform. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
But you can edit it out if you don't want to mention name.
Ah, don't worry.
Yeah. So yeah.
They're not gonna come to us because they've already changed through. You know, right now it's no longer Sakura. Right now it's something.
So we were sent to courses to get to understand the software, the support system. It was great because I learned a lot of things about computers, because which we never get a chance to do back in those days, back in the college, because computer system was really expensive.
Yes, no one was investing on the computers.
Yeah, and the one we had in back in the college, Saito, was an Amiga.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and the cost was expensive. It's like a side cost. That means it's not included in the main cost.
Yes.
So we wouldn't take it because it was like beyond our budget. You see. But the shit thing was it was done in this lab with glass panel windows. So we will always pass by and look at all these like more well-off kids inside with all this Amiga doing all this drawing with the 8-bit, 16-bit color. You know, we're like, wow, that's so cool. You know.
Buzzkill, man. Yeah.
Amiga. You know, it's like they're doing all this pixel stuff. You know, but then it was not that important for us because we never at that time most of us didn't know that the computer would affect the industry so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when I became a tech support. I learned all this stuff, which I thought was very useful. Because later on, when the whole world shifted into digital, yeah, all these things was like very easy for me to kind of catch up. And for 5 years, I'm doing all these things, and it was until when I met a theater group, a small theater group, like a small group like home base, you know, like a few friends. They were trying to do a play. They had a listing looking for production and cast, you know. It was in SS2, and I went and auditioned, you know. It's a small group, it was fun, and I get to meet some of the people who's already in the industry of theatre, and then the rest is actually they're not like professionals like me. I was working, but we're doing theatre group in a small scale. But there was one girl, she was also already doing theatre professionally back in those days with Actor Studio Theatre. Back in those days it was in Tataran Merdeka before it was flooded.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so she brought most of us there to look at real theatre, you know, and check out some of the productions and take classes, workshops conducted by the late Christian Jade and Joe Hashem, who's now like running Calpac. And yeah, there I met a lot more people, and I was kind of like very it was very eye-opening to see somebody actually acting and theatre, because I've never seen a theatre play before. You know, yeah, to see actors and directors work, and it was interesting because I thought this is the closest things I could get into film, because it involves actors, it involves directors, it's got script, it's a different medium. So I kind of like part-time, as I was still doing the job, I joined the group. You know, we kind of do rehearsals, you know, and we attend some of the courses offered by Actor Studio back in those days, acting courses. You know, later on there's lighting courses and all these courses. They are really quite worth it. Even by those days, like maybe 600-800 ringgit for like a few days. But I think it was worth it because you're learning something that you have never learned in any school back in those days. You're talking about theatre lights, sounds, design, you know, and all this stuff. So I learned the craft mainly. So in a way, my craft is actually from theatre based.
I see.
Yeah, before I ventured into TV and later film, which was very good because what I got in theatre, it adapted very well into what I want to do later on TV and film. So I think then I joined a local production house in '95, where they churned out a lot of Chinese serial dramas. That was the boom point. Before '97, where the recession came and everything went crashing down, and then we all became jobless for a while. And I was freelancing back in those days, doing a lot of jobs, including there's non-industry related. Because when I went 95 or 94, I went into the TV industry. I went in full time, so that was my first time from something I went to zero again. You know, then I'll come back to this part later, which I went to zero to my second time. So it looks like quite not very working very well.
It's up and down.
Yeah,
it's all cyclical.
Yeah, so I was a graphic designer back in those days, and I was getting a very comfortable salary, nice post. You know, I work hard enough. In another 1 or 2 years, I'll be a CD. You know, I was like earning like 4-figure salary. Back in those days, it's really a lot.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. And I just quit the 5th year and went to TV industry. So I start from zero again. So it was a shock for my family. And I'm doing completely something else that's not what I've learned in college. So from a 4-figure salary, I went there as a PA and crew, doing odd jobs, you know, because filming I have no idea what it's about. You know, I was doing theatre on and off as well. So from that salary, I got into like 600 per month.
Wow.
Yeah, for about 1 or 2 years. You know,
So
but
you really took a leap of faith.
yeah, so it was zero. You know, that time I thought it's worth it because I'm young. I got some saving.
How old were you back then?
94, 95. So now if I'm 40, maybe
20s.
Yeah,
mid
20s, mid 20s, correct. Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, maybe 25, 26 or 24 between. So I took a leap because I think if 2 years it can't work, I'll just go back to graphic design.
Right.
Yeah, but I think what.
So at that time you were already fallen in love, head over heels over filmmaking, and you wanted to
Yes,
venture deep
but
into it.
correct. I want to venture and see if it's really what I want.
Right.
But my backup is always graphic design.
Yes.
You know, with all the skill I've accumulated. You know, I went in for 2 years. Actually I kind of like cower back because 600 per month back in those days is still very little.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It was.
You know, but they do provide hostel and food. You know.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, basically it's almost like hard labor.
Yeah.
Anyway, I kind of like.
Bully.
Yeah, but anyway, the idea is that I think back in those days, I do not know who influenced me, but I think these days there's a thing that's called, if you look at the problem and you change the perspective, it will be something else.
Yeah.
So back in those days when I was doing this, my friend, they were all shocked. I said, look at it this way, because I have no experience in filmmaking. Why not think they are paying me to learn?
Tuition, yeah.
Yeah. So instead of like working, I'm earning 600 ringgit. Why don't I look at it like they're paying me 600 ringgit, I'm learning the craft.
Yeah, right.
So then I don't feel so like.
You don't feel so bad, lah.
Yeah, so bad. Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
So it changed.
Yeah, especially when at a time whereby you have to get
Yeah,
in to
yeah,
learn to do
correct,
to get your
right.
hands dirty, right?
Yeah.
The last thing you want to know is, fuck, I've been making only $600.
I mean, sometimes you come back to reality like, oh my god, this is
Yeah.
what they pay me, you know, after the end of the month. But I kind of make sure I rethink it. It's an education.
Right.
But unlike college, they're paying me now.
Mm.
You know, and I need to work harder, you know, with more responsibility. Unlike college, I can skip class, you know, and watch movie. This one, I need to come to work. So it's good. It's a good form of education for that 1 and 2 years, you know. But of course, they will need. So there's a lot of opportunity for people to rise up to a higher position because they need good people to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
So,
moment you clock in the hours, you clock in the experience,
and
they will just put you to the next level.
and you kind of can smart enough to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They will always put you up in a proper pose. So that's how I actually learned the whole process of filmmaking in TV dramas. You know, on camera angles, on camera movement, the pose of each people in the production. And in fact, back in those days, it's actually very well properly managed. You know, compared to even today. You know, they have all the right people in all the position and in all the department. They were running like based on a model like Hong Kong TVB. It's very influenced by them back in those days. So I get to learn a lot.
Which production was this?
HVD.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean it's gone now. Yeah. So it was a learning process. Then
Right.
after that, I only actually started directing in 2000, and that time was still like small projects like corporate video and magazine shows, and I still have to do other jobs like editing and DP in fact, I'm trying to do more jobs just to survive.
So you're more into production work.
Correct.
Eventually, but have you ever dabbled into acting, or was it was something that that you wanted to? Was it something that you have interest in, or it was just part of the puzzle?
I have interest in it because I want to find out how actors work.
Right.
That's where I learned acting in theatre, which is great, you know. But of course, to adapt it into TV, it was quite tough as an actor.
Right.
Because in TV and film, you don't have time to rehearse and prepare. So you might get the script like tonight.
Yes.
And tomorrow you're gonna shoot. And whereas in
shoot.
theatre, you get the whole space of like looking at the script. You know, you have at least like 1 month of rehearsals and talking to the directors and working with your partners before you perform. So, but still, both is the same job. It's about acting. You know, so it took me a while to actually get used to work on the TV and film. But the thing is, acting is not my priority because I love to I think more become the creator, like comic artist, create
Right.
a world and story. But the idea I went, I think, is to understand what's it like to be an actor. And in fact, when I started, I went through all the most of the posts, you know, like PA, personal assistant, runner, and then a crew for which I didn't last long because it's like hard labor, you know. Then assistant director. So actually, I went through all the posts. That's why I say I look at
You're
it.
all rounder.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
gone through the entire
Correct. Yeah,
business.
but I didn't stay long in most of the posts because I know that's not what I want to do.
Right.
So at least I know what's their job and how do you function in there. Then I move on. Then
Pretty much like any corporate office, you know, you are moving from one department to another department as a
Correct.
management trainee, not to stay in that department, but to pretty much learn, you know, how each department works.
Yeah.
Then you go back to your comfort zone or the area whereby you are more prolific in, and in this case, it's direction.
Yes, directing and writing.
And writing.
Yeah,
okay.
correct. Which I think that's.
Have you done writing all this while, or
Yeah, scripts. Yeah.
was it something that you have done in response to your love for comics?
Writing.
Were you drawing comics at that time?
Yeah, I will, but on my own. They will not publish. It's like no, every kid will draw. So I have a lot of those self-drawn comics.
So you were already writing stories.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you were drawing.
Yes, yes.
You would try to storyboard all these
Correct.
stories into.
Yeah, I have thrown all them away.
My God, it would have been.
Yeah, it was a lot. If you give me another
Although
5
there are
minutes to make it-
scribbles and all that, huh?
Yeah. Not scribbles, they are actually
Actual proper.
yeah, with color pencils, you know.
Amazing.
Yeah. So especially during my secondary school days, I draw a lot of comics. Then I will share with my friends, you know.
And you have already gotten some fan base from there.
Not
You
fans,
managed to
friends.
get-
They're friends, you know. They look at it, you know.
Did it go like, what happens next?
Yeah, they do. That's the beauty of a comic band those days. I mean, now if you talk about comic, people are like, lah, they just go online. There's so many things, you know.
Yeah.
Comics was our time. It was our only entertainment for us, you know. Even my
Right.
father reads about comics.
You got it from your dad?
From my dad and my uncles. Yeah.
Okay. All right, coming back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in 2000, then only I kind of like start getting chances to direct.
Right.
Yeah, and I kind of like cut off acting and doing another thing completely because I want to focus on directing. But the two other supplement job was editing, and also cameraman or director of photography. You know, and eventually I think after 2003 or 4, then I kind of like got myself known as a director. So people get me. Hire me as a director more than the rest. That's where I kind of like slowly shift and become a director. But at the same time, I still once in a while I act and would shoot and produce for independent films. You know, like French films. Then I would still be involved because I kind of think like the thing is like why I would, even though I was in a way making a living in the industry, why I still delve back into the indie stuff, like, you know, new guys who come in or low budget stuff, because I think the learning process is always never ending.
Yeah.
Especially in any creative craft in the industry. And the reason I go back is like not only I meet these younger guys, I see how they work and how they see things. I mean, it's not about right and wrong. I get to see more interesting stuff. You know, that's the reason why today I still produce, I still act in certain films. You know, and I still watch short films. Local short films, because I think that's how I keep myself educated and updated. Yeah, so I don't kind of like, get stuck. Like my music selection is quite scary. So some people will be shocked. I'll be listening to rap, hip hop, and then classicals, jazz, everything. You know, and the artists will be so, you know, Korean pop. You know, but the thing is, I don't care what genre they are, because I think if it sounds good, I like it, I'll listen to it. Because I think each music genre, no matter how pop and commercial and silly they are, there is a craft involved.
Right.
There's a reason why people love it.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why I listen to it. So I'm not those type of a filmmaker or director who kind of like limit myself to a certain art form and the rest is like not worth my time. Because I think for me, I want to get back to what's the world is happening to the world. You know, I think that's always how I've been operating since when I started, and even until today. Yeah. So that's my basic foundation. You know, don't restrict yourself by confining yourself. You know, especially I think artists, because once you reach a certain level, you close off yourself.
Yeah.
And you're in this world that, you know,
Your own little world.
Your own little world, you know, because you get all these honors and all this recognition, and you
Right.
think this is the only way, which I think is quite scary, which I don't enjoy actually, because it's you're limiting yourself. I mean myself, then I wouldn't get to see anything, you know. Yeah, I think
Eventually you sandbag yourself to innovation. You can't innovate after that.
Correct.
Because you're always sandbagging about, oh, this is how it's supposed to be
Yeah.
done and not like this, and you're not accepting new ways.
Correct. And I think that's the reason why this year I went back to zero again for a second time in my career. Because I was constantly updating myself, and I know what's happening, and I was very secure because I know what's happening and something that I can do and I could not do. So I think if I was a artist that or filmmaker that enclosed myself all this while and working on the traditional model, I wouldn't have the guts to actually stop and try something else. I'll be still stuck here, and even without the knowledge, with the knowledge that the industry is kind of like not progressing, I'm still stuck there and refuse to move. This is like what they call, you know, when in some incident where in a plane crash, they noticed some of the victims that died, right? They refused to move. Not out of panic shock. They thought it will be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
In denial. They were
In denial, correct. Yeah, it's quite scary because I read some article when the survivor those who actually move, run, take out a seatbelt and jump out of the exit. When they report, he saw the rest was still alive, but most of them was very calm and like somebody's gonna help us.
Right.
You know, I think I'm not saying we are quite similar to that, but I think once you enclose yourself in denial mode, you'll be always stuck there. I mean, you won't get burned.
It's more difficult for you to
to
just
progress.
snap out of it.
Because I think the world is progressing so fast now with the technology.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even have enough time to read or watch the movies that's available online. You know, you become more selective. You know, and I think even now, I'm trying to see what's going on in the world. I don't have enough time to look around or even to properly absorb it.
And whatever it is that we're absorbing at this point of time is still very new, because other people are also trying new things, because the old ways, we have sort of in a way moving away from the old ways to take on the new to try new methods of doing things.
Which something I need to talk about the old ways, which I think what I've went through is really no joke. It's almost hard labor, you know. I mean, and back in those days, the people, the seniors are not very nice people. Yeah. I think in all industry back in those days, it's all about you get scolded very easily.
Oh yeah.
You know, I think we heard stuff about. I think
abusive bosses.
Back in those days, you know, it's really and I think before us, it might be worse.
Oh yeah, definitely it was worse.
So I guess we went through that, you know, but I always like to share what we went through with my students or the younger kids who's in the industry. But I got also a point that they don't have to went through this shit because the world has changed.
Yes.
Because I still find some people from my era would incorporate this system onto the younger generation of workers staff, which I think is quite sadistic. You get me? I went through this. Now you guys went through this shit again before you. I think it's so sad. It is sick.
It is.
That's the problem when humans do not progress.
Yeah.
You cannot apply the same system to a new generation of people. You can tell them, you know, you can correct them, guide them, but you can't apply that shit that you went through to a new generation because they are not born in that time.
Yeah.
You know, they got more choices, you know, and they are more smarter because the minute you say this is wrong, they'll look at the net. No, it's not wrong.
Yeah.
Then
Someone has already done it. Then they'll just
like,
accept it that
they're like,
my boss is not following the times.
Yeah, correct. You know, for those smart enough.
They'll lose respect.
Yeah, correct.
That's
so I think that's very important. I need to talk about really for any craft or business. The way to conduct it needs to go with times too. You know, and it's quite sad because I think in the country everybody looks up to Steve Jobs and Bill Gates.
Yeah. But
not much of these boss are actually courageous enough to actually risk doing something. You know, and I think a lot of the industry overall they don't spend enough time in R&D.
Yes.
They think it's a waste of money.
That's right, and a waste of time.
Yeah, waste of time. So what you get is like you're always following a trend.
Yes.
You will never get Steve Jobs and Bill Gates in this country because even in the film industry, you're just following a trend. There's nobody trying to do new things, take risks. When we talk about take risk, it's about manageable risk. I think everybody knows what's manageable risk. So if you lose, it's enough for you to get back. You know, it's not to lose like you're in Genting Highland and then you don't even have enough money to come back to take a taxi. So that's the difference about risk. But I think in our level, when I talk to the business people and investors, even the minimal risk they wouldn't want. You get me? It's like anything with the risk, like in Chinese, 死钱 mojo.
Yeah, scared.
Scared. Which I think is very unprogressive. It's like, it's quite sad because in Malaysia, I think there's damn lot of talents now back here, right this minute as we're talking about.
Right.
You know, in all field, I believe there's so many talents stuck here without the proper fundings, proper network and channel of support. You know, and those lucky ones will make it outside. You know, which I recently I posted updates on how we reclaim back on all these stars from our Malaysian or used to be Malaysian, but they don't even make it here. Yeah, they make it in another country, in another system.
Where they are more appreciated there rather than here.
So it's not about a brain drain, you know. I mean, it's then you invite them, give them batuk shape and all this crap. But there's so much more talent here now, you know, that most people who make decisions are not taking notice of, and I don't think they take a pride in looking into the talent pool here. Which the sad thing is like without R&D and nurturing process, they will never go anywhere. Those guys who make it out there, they don't just become famous overnight.
Yeah.
They went through shit, I think, you know, like 2, 3, 5 years. Now they're famous. Then you look at them, he's famous. Let's give him a datuk ship.
Yeah.
You know,
But before they were famous, right? It's like they couldn't even bother to look at them. You know, they don't even support them whatsoever. You know?
I bet they won't support if it's the same case. That's why I think this mentality have to do with the fact that they have no pride in local talents.
Yeah.
You know, they have no pride in local products and a lot of things. But I can't blame a lot of them because we have been going through this process of everything local doesn't equal quality. You know, but I think it could be changed if there's enough time to actually produce this pool of talent and let them take over the industry slowly, you know, and rebrand and relook in the whole things, you know, because and I think it's easier when you claim somebody is already famous and align yourself with him because you take a picture, you know, rather than you put your money 5 years to a new guy, most probably he won't make it, and then nobody knows that you lost the money to this guy. So I think in Malaysia, generally, a lot of people are looking for the easy way out. Yeah, it's like instant celebrity, instant glamour, you know. I think it's quite a sad case because we do have enough resource to actually develop enough talent pool to support a certain industry.
So was there a reason why you ventured into Doghouse Productions, or do you foresee something which, you know, made you decide that to come out and work on yourself on independent?
Okay, Doghouse73 Pictures was formed in 2000. Yeah, at the time it was just at least there's a name for what the films I do.
Right.
You know, and if possible, I would love to use the company and the name to produce more independent works for other filmmakers. You know, then I went to mainstream. You know, that's when I started doing TV drama, movies, and all this stuff. But in and out, I'll still do my own films. But the reason, that's the reason why. I mean, even if it's not Doghouse73, I think it's always good to always like have a platform to produce work for new directors.
Right.
Which is another thing that I think due to the way the market size of the country, so that's why a lot of industries are monopolized. You know, because the market's small, so anybody is at the top, they will want to be in the top forever. It's a very what you call it, like it happens in the small places. You know, once you're the big brother, you know, the Tai Lo, you just want to stay there until
you muscle your way through.
You know, and you just want to hold on there until you're gone, and then you let them sort it out themselves. There's no protege system involved really. I was not a protege of goddamn anyone. You know, it's all self-taught. You know, I think that lack of that also of like really bringing somebody up. You know, not necessarily like long term, but you know, opening up space for them to collaborate. I think this is all important because, but it's all interesting for me because I meet new people. generating new ideas. So you get more exciting works, interesting works. They may not be like groundbreaking or masterpiece, but at least you see things happening. So I think that's the most important thing in all industry. You need to see work constantly coming in, and a community building up and working. But the sad thing is that when you talk about working and content coming out, they always involve a lot of money. Like, no money, you can't do it.
Yeah.
This is a lot of a mentality these days. If you don't have that cash, or like what you said, if you don't have that enough cash to open a brand that's big enough, you don't do it.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of local food chain franchise, especially, right, they all started very small, like 1 and 2. I mean, I don't know if we can name the names, like Plan B.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's another. I mean, it's like, okay, it's getting bigger. It's there's one in Ipoh. It's like damn nice. And come on, Ipoh, it's
Ipoh,
not.
of all
Not
places,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, and the food price. I haven't been there. It's almost the same here. So you're talking
Right.
about a premium food that small town people are willing to fork out and eat. So it's doing very successfully. So 5 years ago, people were like, "You're crazy, man. Ipoh folks won't pay you this much to eat this plate of food."
Yeah.
The fact that hawker food is good and cheap. But then you got Old Town. One coffee is like, almost like $6-7, but it works in Ipoh.
Frankly speaking, a lot of people have misunderstood Ipoh as being a small town. I mean, I was born from Ipoh, and Ipoh is considered a hometown for me.
Okay.
But Ipoh has always been in this space whereby it's neither here nor there, and everyone always has an assumption that they are below.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
And there is no opportunity. But when I look at Ipoh, I see a whole slew of opportunity. Ipoh back in the days during the tin mining period,
Yeah.
it used to be in the top
Correct.
premiums of cities in talking about in Malaysia, and it has gone through the slump because tin mining eventually evaporated.
Yep.
So now, and because it's all the way down that level, everyone thinks that it's down at that level, and it's not come back up yet. But the people are still there. The people are still making a living, and there are a lot of rich people in Ipoh that are spending their money outside of Ipoh. And if you are able to bring in some franchising into Ipoh, you can easily make the money.
Correct. And I think the thing is like the fact that I also noticed like places like Penang and Ipoh, a lot of the younger generations, right, still actually prefer to live and work there.
Yeah, there's no reason for them to leave.
Which is great, because I think then it means bigger things can happen there.
Yeah.
Because there's a slew of workers who, because recently this year I went to Penang and was giving a talk to academy, about filmmaking and stuff. Then the lecturer told me, a lot of his kids really don't want to come to KL.
Yeah.
They really hope there's an industry in Penang that can support what they've done.
Gone are the days whereby we need to come to KL. But right now, right, we're talking about the cities in Malaysia has grown.
Yeah.
We are even down to, if you're talking about just KL alone, each district has decentralized.
Yeah.
It's no longer back in the days whereby all of us have to congregate and come and buy stuff in PJ or buy stuff in KL, right?
Correct.
Because traffic is crazy.
Yeah.
Cost of travel is crazy.
Yes.
Time is so limited these days. People decided to just decentralize. Do not want to come over to KL because PJ has the things that they needed, or same thing with Penang. Penang is so vast in terms of economy. They've got tourism, they've got the beach and stuff like that. You can easily make something in Penang without having to come to KL.
Correct.
And same vice versa, if you were to do it in Johor, you do it in Ipoh, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's decentralized that way. We don't need to travel anymore. We don't need to migrate to a completely different city entirely.
Actually,
the internet has connected everyone together.
But I would prefer to live in Ipoh, and I won't mind coming to work here if you got the speed train, you see.
Yeah.
That was supposed to happen like years ago, but
That's
it
gonna
happened.
take ages.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. But I would prefer to live in Ipoh anytime and come here and work, shoot, and then if it's too late, I'll just get a cheap room and I'll stay for one night.
Right.
But I would travel like in other countries, because I think Ipoh is really nice. It's like, but I think maybe in 5 years time it could be like that, But even in Penang now, the problem is like they don't have enough industry to support the kids who's doing certain things. So they are hoping that it will have a chance. They don't have to travel out of the state, which is good because you keep your talent back where they are. The reason I come to PJ was also because there was not much art college back in Ipoh those days.
Yes.
Yeah, I had to come all the way to PJ.
Saito here.
Yeah, to Saito here. Yeah.
Okay. So what was that like during the early years of Doghouse73 Productions? When you started in 2000, then eventually but you've always been, you know, doing TV work and stuff like that. When do you decide to branch out from that mainstream part to focus on Doghouse Productions?
Last year, end of 2012, I kind of like see, you know, I might be wrong, you know, but from what I've seen,
Your perspective.
yeah, my perspective, I think the local film industry is losing big time, and it's gonna get shittier. You know, it's a matter of time, you know, if the shit hit the fan, you know, and everybody realize that, oh shit, actually nobody watch local films, you know. They're just
When do you realize this?
last year.
Last
End of
year.
last year, I think I come to
Do you
realization.
feel that problem is only 1 year old, or the problem has been around for
A few
long
years.
time?
It's
Yeah.
kind of declining. No, salary wise, there's no increment. So when an industry there's no increment in salary, it means something is wrong.
Right.
The fact the price of everything is going up. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Petrol.
And a lot of other people, and with the boss trying to undercut the budget, you know, squeezing this out and that out with the reason there's no budget, you know, the market's small. Then I would thought, like, if there's no budget and the market's small, why don't you expand and go to a bigger market? You know, why do you keep hearing this reason? Oh, because the market in Malaysia is small, that's why this is the only budget we can allocate. So this is a very dubious statement. You know, why would you invest in a product that have only a small market and not try to improve it so we can go to a bigger market?
How do you feel, or putting yourself in his position, right? When he said that he's shrinking the budget because the market is
Small.
shrunk, or the market is small,
Yeah.
would you feel in the sense that the market in the sense of the consumer market, or do you feel that the people that is investing on these productions, the budget has shrunk? Which one is it? Where's the shrinkage
The
coming
budget
from?
is strong.
The budget is shrunk. It's not the commercial side. It's
No,
not
no,
the consumer
Look,
side.
look at the people who watch Avengers and Skyfall.
Yeah, exactly. People are paying for 3D.
Yeah.
People are paying for
Yes.
Premiere.
And some people watched like Avengers 3 times or 2 times in Pacific Rim. So it's a very strange thing that they would say that, because if your quality sucks, that's why your market is getting smaller and people don't want to pay to watch a film, you know, and don't expect them to pay the second time to watch a film. You know, when the movie is really good, people actually watch it and tell people and really watch it twice, and then later on buy the Blu-ray for collection, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, you know. And I don't think the piracy is always the blame, you know. They might be one of the reason they cut down their sales in the original DVD. But when a movie is good, like Pacific Rim, all fanboys would want to watch it in cinemas, IMAX, then they'll buy the pirate DVD and some of the original Blu-ray DVD and download, you know.
But who cares? Because at the end of the day, they
everybody
went
got
to
it.
watch the movie
Yes.
a few times in the cinema, and that's where you already captured it.
Yes, correct.
You know, the merchandising, the T-shirts that
Yeah.
they're selling, and all
Okay.
sort of stuff.
And I think piracy is good in a certain ways these days, because whether they want to, they don't want to admit it or not, because of piracy of bad copies, and sometimes they download, right. For instance, a guy who just downloaded Pacific Rim because I don't want to pay, it's free on torrent, and it's a shitty copy. But when you look at it, it's like, shit, this actually looks good. I think I'm gonna watch it in the cinema. So they doesn't realize that piracy operates as advertisements. You know, because some films you can't really watch on small screen.
Yeah.
You can't really watch with this is a preview copy.
Yeah.
You know, certain people will watch it anyway, but I think that's not the point, because I think in a way some people still appreciate good films.
Correct.
You know, they will watch it for the curiosity, and like.
And then after that, they'll sneeze and they'll tell, you know, 3
Yeah,
other people,
yeah.
5 other
Correct,
people.
correct.
I mean, this is the reason why Psy became an overnight success, because Gangnam Style was literally pirated on YouTube
Yeah,
all over the world.
and parody.
Correct, and you know, you not only did he, yeah, sure, he lost, you know, revenue in terms of how much of music he could have sold, but he gained so much more in terms of demand, because everyone knew what Gangnam Style was
Yes,
all
yes,
about,
correct.
even down to kids.
Yes.
Even weren't because of the fact that he allowed everyone to parody it on YouTube, or parody it on YouTube. The kids would have known what Gangnam Style was all about.
Yeah, correct. And the fact I think he makes back his money in real life concerts
Yeah,
and performances.
yeah, everyone wanted to go
Yeah.
because his side,
Yeah.
right, Gangnam?
So I think sometimes entrepreneurs and bosses, right, need to think really differently about all these small things. You know, like what I said, piracy. If you look at it in another way, it could help your product in a certain way, rather than just with the fixed mind, prices is bad because it's ripping us off. Actually, it doesn't rip much off these days. The fact that downloads are so readily available for free.
Right.
You know, so I think the reason most people was pissed off of the pirates because they are making money out of a product that I've produced. Okay, fair. But now the piracy is being affected because people can get
Yeah,
for
people can
free.
just
So
get,
who's actually benefiting at the end? There's nobody.
Unify is killing the pirates now.
Yeah. You know, I think so. That's what we talk about. What happened when things progress?
Right.
Nothing lasts. You know, and you need to go in with the times and see how to remonetize your stuff, rebrand your stuff, or in my case, like I would suggest, relook at how to exploit the system so it could come to your use.
Okay, let's compare back to the movies that we're talking about, like
Okay.
Avengers and stuff
Yeah.
like that. You know, these are the blockbuster,
Yeah, worldwide.
popcorn blockbuster production, right? That gets people so excited they have a reason to go back and
Yeah.
watch a couple of times. No, I was talking to Kara Baha
Oh.
about about this kind of challenge. You know,
He was in your show, no?
he was earlier 10.
Okay.
Right.
I didn't saw his name.
First
still online?
first 10, yeah,
Okay.
still online, first 10 episodes. And I think I was telling him, in terms of our storytellers here in Malaysia, right, where do you feel we are right now? Because if you talk about the Western world, the Western world has taken all traditional genres and pop culture and converted to and reinvigorated the entire franchise to what it is today. Like say for example, back in the days, we were talking about Dracula,
Yeah.
and today we're talking about vampirism,
Twilight.
right? We're talking about a completely new spectrum
Correct.
of Dracula. Dracula was just one individual.
Yeah.
Now we have got like a whole nation
Yeah.
of vampirism, or even down to the story of zombies. We have Walking Dead today. We have got a whole lot of other production like World War Z. But we have not gone through that phase here in Malaysia yet. I think recently they just launched KL Zombie.
Yes.
I think that's like the very closest
Closest.
new age pop culture movie that we have locally.
Correct. But then there was one 2 years ago. It's called Zombie Kampung Pisang. So
Yes.
that zombie genre is quite marketable. Yeah.
Well, any chance of us seeing that progression?
I think yes.
Bringing
yes.
I was telling Kyril, what are the opportunity that we could see? A whole new story about Orang Minyak or something like that.
Oh, okay. I think it's a matter of storytelling and craft.
Right.
We are still very young. Me myself, you look at my commercial films. I mean, looking back, I would say they are not superly greatly done. A lot of reasons because the budget and a lot of restriction, and so I've not have reached a craft where I could deliver, for example, Transporter. It looks like a damn simple movie to make.
It is.
One guy, cars, kick ass, saves girl. Wow.
A lot of action.
A lot of action. It looks like simple. Don't need to write that, but it's not easy because everything involves craft like rhythm, editing, choreography, which I think we still have not really mastered most of it yet.
I see.
And the other great thing is like, I think a lot of this Western culture. You look at what they're doing now back in those days, even Westerns, they actually reference a lot of those old myth and Greek stories.
Yes.
That's where all the heroes come from.
Yes.
They just repackage it.
Yeah.
But I think what we lack of here now is like nobody is smart enough to repackage their legends and old myth. The fact that we don't have a long history of myths and all this stuff. But I think it's always about that. So like zombie, we are doing easily because it's already been established.
Yeah,
by
we're just
somebody.
taking someone else's concept
Correct.
and bringing it
But
over to
it's
this
more easier to do because it's very it doesn't have a thing like, oh, in Japan there's no zombie. It's a worldwide epidemic, so everybody could buy this concept. But when you're gonna do a superhero movie in Malaysia,
It's impossible
it's
because
impossible.
we don't have
that culture,
superheroes to begin
correct?
with.
Yeah, and so if you look at superhero, they don't even have it in Hong Kong. They have their own heroes like Wong Fei Hong and all these martial art actors. But you're talking about something similar to Western superheroes. There's none, and they've tried and they look like crap. So
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of really looking at back in your culture and how do you repackage it so it become modern. Because I think Batman, Superman, all these are like tragedy Greek heroes. If you look at them, some of the story and background is very related to the Greek, the old Greek stories, or stories from the past that's been telling. It's always a very formula thing, because if you dissect it, it's always the same, Just a matter of fact, it depends on trend. Like now, these days, it's about darker superheroes with more human feelings, which I think like, oh my god.
Yeah,
like
bad girl, you know, being lesbian. And
Yeah, it's like
wanting
so.
to marry the.
Yeah, so everybody's going to the Nolan trend now. You know,
Yeah.
everybody has to be sensitive. James Bond has to have weakness. So I think it's a matter of like trend. You know, how you repackage and retell the story, but basically they're same.
Mm.
You know, it's
But we
same.
don't. What you're saying is we don't have that intellectual property or that myth that we can just take and repackage.
Nobody's looking at that. Actually, we got like Hang Tuah, Hang Jebat,
exactly,
Merong. Yeah, we got a lot of old stories pre-Malacca time. But I think it's a lot of people maybe they don't really read much or would want to wonder that much because it feels so period. Like so old, nobody's interested. But it's not about that. It's about looking at the character, referencing at their stories and their
repackaging it. That's the reason.
into a modern setting.
Correct. That's the reason why we have things like Twilight and stuff like that.
Correct,
It's because people took something from the past, repackage it,
Yep.
and just reimagining the whole entire
And put a much
story,
much more accessible cast
Yeah.
in it. So I think it's all about at the end, it's about that too, which I think is not a easy thing to do because it's a skill that involves experience. Because you're talking about taste and sense and what to do, how to put it together. It's almost like a scientist lab. So you need to be a great scientist to know what to put and where to get the material to come up with this magic potion or this spell.
Do you feel that we lack in terms of good writers
I think we
that is
have,
able to reimagine all these stories?
yeah, we do lack of good script writers. We might have a few good writers, but mostly I must admit that a lot of them, I'm not sure whether they are good or not, but a lot of them is because they are trying to make a living out of volume.
Right.
Because there's the pay is not really great for scripts.
So all of us are struggling. So
Correct.
And because we are struggling,
Yeah.
innovation is and reimagination is being stifled.
Yeah, correct. Being stifled. So that's why I've got a lot of script that once it's approved and we're about to shoot, we have to do a lot of changes on it. I've rarely got a script that's so good I read we can just shoot.
Right.
I've still like asked for rewrite and then I have to change. I have to do a lot of work before we could actually shoot. And the reason is always because the writer doesn't have time to actually rewrite or spend too much, and they don't want to spend too much time on a script because they need to write a new script to deliver to another production and another TV station because to make back the volume, because they can't give them 6 months of salary to write a script. Most of them they give them 2 weeks to write a script and dirt cheap pay.
So we were going back to the whole problem of time not spent in storyboarding,
Correct.
time not spent in prototyping.
In R&D, in research and development, because I think script also you need R&D, and somebody needs to get paid to do that before you write a script.
Yeah, I kind of realized that too because just this morning as I was on the way here, I was watching an episode of Film Riot, and there was an interview between Ryan Connolly with Dan Trachtenberg, and they were talking about this sort of thing, and Dan was saying, when it comes to a director looking at the story, it's not just about one person coming up with a story and then you just film it in this just like that. It's all about first you have to go through the director, and the director have to share their story, go through with friends, share some more stories, rework, go through the executive producer of the publishing house, rework again. Then only finally they're able to come up with a much more concrete story to cut. So we possibly could be our market has shrunk so much in terms of budget. We are so so cost constrained that we have forgotten that process.
That process. So that process is limited to like very short.
Right.
Where like, which is not because by the time you read it, you digest it, then you get back to him, and then he get back to it. It's all time.
Okay. So 1 year into Doghouse73 Productions, where do you hope to see the company go to?
It's not.
Where is your direction right? What vision do you see right now? What do you hope to achieve? Considering the fact that you have released a few production on YouTube.
Yep.
Right. So you have taken YouTube as a means of distribution.
Correct.
What do you see from there?
I don't know yet. Seriously speaking, because this is a question when I talk to a lot of my friends or business people. They say, "How do you make money?"
Yes.
this is like the most stupidest question you can ever think of from people who's right. But I think this is also the limit a lot of people from doing a lot of things.
Yes.
You know, I might lose money. You know, I might waste a 1 year and it get me not a single cent. But I need to know when to stop and
Correct.
move to other things. That's
So
the risk.
all the production you're working on right now, all the shows they're putting on YouTube, the short films they're putting on YouTube,
Self-funded.
these are all self-funded. These are all pulling up favors and
Yes,
stuff.
correct.
And everyone's saying, okay, just because I want to be an actor, you know, here's an
no,
opportunity
no.
to work with James.
Nope.
No?
I think I can't say that because a lot of
Right.
them are actually very professional actors that
Right.
I have to, you know, we have to say, hey, can you help us with that? You know, I'm not at that Woody Allen stage where everybody's saying, I want to work with Woody Allen. You know, I'm not there yet.
Right.
So yeah, the thing is that I'm experimenting to see.
What is your hypothesis? What is that you're hoping to achieve? What is the big question that you're trying to resolve out of this experiment?
I'm trying to see if I could build an online audience for local Malaysian independent works.
Right.
You know, because most probably, whether your work is good or bad, local works, I don't think most people would want to pay 10 ringgit to watch your local films.
Right.
You know, I always share this imaginary sequence to all these young filmmakers, you know, and when they listen to it, they feel damn bitter or sad, like there's no hope, you know. Because they watch a lot of movies, I always say, you know, you guys buy tickets, you know, you go TGV, GSC, you know, and then you walk along to the ticket counter or buy a popcorn, then you see all these posters in the hall, you know, there's Pacific Rim, Man of Steel, and all these crazy posters.
And then you see a local production.
Yeah, and then you see a local production. So you need to imagine, right, one day when your movies come out, that is your poster. How are you gonna stand out against this
All this combination, yeah. When you have like maybe $50 to spend on cinema and 3 days that you can allocate out an entire week to watch a movie, which are the top 3 movies that you probably
correct.
pick?
So and even if you have a kick-ass posters, people might not even know what is it.
Right.
You know, compared to the rest of the Hollywood box office. So the idea is that I come to realize that actually the old cinema mode to distribute independent films or even local commercial film is quite limiting.
Yes.
You know, I can't see any way to progress because nobody seems to have an idea how to solve it, except still pumping a lot of money in billboards, advertising, and they thought it's work. You know, and I think a lot of them doesn't even get the social media right.
Yes.
It's quite sad. Except for Namely, you know, I think he's a good marketer. You know, and he comes from the YouTube before he transferred to the real world, the mainstream. So he's playing a different ball game. You know, but I'm trying to see how I'm going to use internet to build an audience to actually to test, is it so bad that Malaysian works that nobody want to watch? But I don't think so, you know. Yes, it's correct. Free stuff doesn't mean people will watch it and will like it, you know. But I think I'm still in the stage where I'm audience to kind of prove that there's more better works in Malaysia, not necessarily those that you pay 10 ringgit, you know. And there's a lot of interesting works from younger filmmakers, which most probably some of them will have a hard time getting their work on cinema or even getting investor to invest their film, because you're talking about the lowest budget is 1 million ringgit in Malaysia. I think it's not easy to get 1 million ringgit in Malaysia if you are not well connected.
Yeah, and 1 million ringgit in Malaysia is completely different from 1 million USD. But you know, in terms of how the Americans see 1 million, right? It's the same way as how we see 1 million.
Correct.
The only thing is the value of 1 million ringgit is so far, you know, it's 3 times lower than that,
Correct.
and we can only buy cheaper solution versus the Americans where they can buy more expensive solution
so
with it.
I'm hopefully that it will build an audience like large enough to support, to give us at least first of all a reason to continue making films. You know, so at least when I make a short films, when I ask some guys, hey, you want to make a short films, you got a cool idea, let's make it. It's worthwhile because there's an audience. Okay, first of all, and you can use it as your a platform to expose yourself for your own branding, for your own work, you know. So I'm hopefully Doghouse73, the channel will one day become a platform where new filmmakers can show their work. I can produce, you know, where you introduce more filmmakers so they can use it as a platform to showcase their work. People can recognize them, they can build their own fan base if they want, you know. But eventually I want to be a launching platform other than my works. I mean, I still want to direct. Okay, so at the same time I would love to produce newer works to keep the community exciting, because I think the idea is that with the amount of works available in cinema, the local one, I must say, like, a lot of them is quite trashy. So it doesn't give the confidence to people, like, back to the problem and say, oh, Malaysia, yeah, like that. But in fact, it's not. We got, I mean, you know Kai.
Yeah.
I saw his relationship status. I like it. It's really polished for low budget production. The acting was really good. That actually I've not seen before in a cinema of local when I pay 10 ringgit. And that's quite troubling. And I mean, he got his reason why he's not making it in big screen. In fact, I think he released it in the big screen.
He did.
Yeah, and didn't did well because it was quite limited. But I don't think because it didn't do well because the film was bad. But I think it did well because again, when people go to cinema, they want to watch big films. They don't see, oh, giant robot, wow, monster, wow, zombie.
Yeah, we're up against that competition.
Yeah, you're up against certain things that they're familiar with. Then they see this indie film, they're not sure where is it from. Most probably relationship status would be an American indie film, and and it will still do quite.
It will do very well.
No, I don't think it will do very well. I noticed even some of the Oscar nominated films, which is drama specific, they don't do as well as action packed.
Agree, but then again, they will make back whatever it is
Correct.
they invested in.
I'm talking about
for them to.
Correct.
But those are movies that you will not come up with a second sequel or sequel. Or those are movies that people will just watch and then appreciate, and then they'll continue to talk about it for many more years to come.
Correct.
So hold that thought. We're gonna have to go for a short break. We'll be back to talk more about Doghouse73 Productions.
Okay.
Okay, so we're back,
Okay.
and let's go back to what we were talking about earlier about your Doghouse73 being a platform for young filmmakers to. How does a young filmmaker get involved, get their story or get their show onto the platform? How do you feel that? Okay. Because consider the fact that it's 1 year old, so you're just going through this,
Yeah.
And have you figured out what are the things that you can do?
First of all, I still watch a lot of short films. I would like kind of like.
Oh, thank you, thank you so much.
No, it's okay. First of all, I think I do watch a lot of short films. I like watching short films by new filmmakers or young filmmakers. I do a very because I'm producing it. So I'm taking my time to produce something for some people. I need to know where they come from, their previous work, before I engage them and invite them. But I think this is also a thing that I must do. If I want to continue this, I need to look for them out. And of course, now I does have a few requests, like look at the script, that they're interested, but I have to go through a process and understand where they're coming from, and if they can meet certain criteria before I can produce for them, because I need to retain a certain quality for what I'm going to upload here. So it would, at least, it's not like I'm trying to shift every sort of work in it. I need to be selective, as this is the first or second year. I need to be very selective so people will know what they're going to expect. But in terms of genre wise, I'm trying to make it as varied as possible. So it's not just like horror, drama or comedy. I want to make it like a normal cinema, where this month we have an action packed short film, next month we have another horror films, and the next month we have a romantic comedy. So I'm trying to make it into like virtual online cinema, but I need to go through the process a lot. But it's going to be a time-consuming job, because to look at their work, understand them before I actually would want to produce for them, And I think this is a job of a producer or even an executive producer, which a lot of time in our professional industry, I don't think they are doing a lot of this job. Because a lot of time I met producers that they don't know me. And I think you're doing a bad job, because in any business, I don't care if you want to invest in business, you need to do a background check.
Yes.
Before you talk to the person, before you ask questions, And I think the thing with cinema is quite sad, because they think it's easy. You just get somebody famous.
Yeah.
Somebody, maybe he's a director, or somebody who can sing, maybe he can direct.
Yeah.
That's why we got a lot of these strange movies coming out. And I think this is the fact that a lot of these people in charge, producers and EP, are not doing their job well, you ask me. Which is quite sad, because there's no criteria in selection of a story and even a director.
So do you feel that we're still able to get production into the cinemas, like how Kai did? I think Kai previously, he approached TGV to have his film screened. And do you feel that right now that approach is still viable?
No.
No?
Yeah, because it's back to the question, that thing I was just explaining. You are against big films.
Yeah.
You'll get lost. And second of all, cinema is also running, exhibitors are also running a business. They will pull out a film the minute there's no audience, It sounds brutal, but that's how most cinemas operate in the whole world.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, in some countries worse, it's just 2 days. And then they'll just take it off and put a Harry Potter 5. So I think we are dealing with a very, if this is a if this is a war, we are dealing with a very very unfavorable situation from all sides and angles. You know, in terms of resource, we are out resourced, we are outnumbered. Our quality of what we got is really not the top notch. So we are dealing with so much pressure. I think last year when I decided to move here, I was trying to try something alternative instead of like engaging it directly in a cinema, which is the main battlefield. Let's try like doing it, guerrilla back style. I think that's the whole point of a concept of like when you engage an enemy that's 10 times stronger than you, that could outlast you in a war of attrition. You need to find
other alternatives.
Yeah, you can't meet them directly, which I think this is something that a lot of people think they could still do it with
barge your way through.
With that 1 million ringgit budget against a $120 million US movie. It's completely there's no fight, in terms of a lot of things you compare in a spec sheet, right? You'll die if it's like both is a computer, right? The local computer is like so cheap, with all the spec, it's like you can't imagine it could even compete with that. So I thought like we need to think differently. And the thing is like thanks to YouTube and what's happening now online, it allowed me to have this choice. If not, I couldn't still figure out what I could do with independent films or smaller films, because we know DVD sales has been dropping. Now it's VOD. The whole world is changing. I mean, what was this video rental shop that went bankrupt recently?
Blockbuster.
Is it Blockbuster? They make a parody of it in Sao Paulo. I think
yeah.
So you see the whole
Netflix is the only one that is able to revolutionize the
correct. They revolutionize, correct. So I think I was interested in that. I was interested in trying to do what's is available on me now, and it is available for us to access. So I just say, okay, let's don't waste any more time and resource to engage these big guys in the main battlefield. Let's do something alternative where we have more space and we can control how we distribute and engage them in our way. Because once you go to cinema, you have to play by the rules. You have to spend this much on advertisement. You have to have this much on prints. All these are costs. And you can't do alternative marketing or very creative marketing when you're playing in the main battlefield. So I thought like let's get the hell out of it. If you still do films, we'll do better films, but we need to market and distribute it differently. But first of all, I think what I'm trying to do is to get audience and the fan base and get back their confidence that it's interesting to watch local independent films first before I kind of like find a way or a model to sustain it, or eventually how do I monetize it so in long run it's enough to support the production of a short film.
So you familiar with Kevin Smith?
Yeah.
So lately, he's working on Clerks 3.
Okay.
And what he's thinking of doing, actually not much of Clerks 3, but what recently he has done is he's able to change with the help of Jason Mewes. He's able to take an old script that he's written, for the Chronicles of Blood Man and Chronic.
Okay.
And he's able to make a animation and took it on the road to film it, to screen it privately from one city to city. Do you think that strategy is viable for indie filmmakers in Malaysia?
Yes, I mean we just went to Singapore and Penang with the Three Doors of Horrors and Bangkok Island Arts Festival, and we're going to Penang end of this month. But the fact that we have been doing that since 2000, we bring the films to schools, to college, to film clubs all over Malaysia, and of course the film festivals overseas. But I think it's a process that cannot be neglected, even though with
it needs to be done.
It needs to be done, but if you're gonna do it, depend on that, it's quite tiring. And it doesn't have enough reach. I mean, for instance, why I'm so positive with what we have done with Three Doors of Horrors is like 5-6 years ago, when we don't have internet, when we do something like that, we have a launch maybe in a theatre space, or we'll rent a cinema and then we'll invite friends or sell tickets. And even if Full House, it will just reach 200 or 300 audience on the opening night for Three Doors of Horror. But thanks to internet, I got 30,000 views overnight.
Right. Okay.
And, it's like you just reach so much people, and we have also concurrently we have a launch in SS2 when we launch it online.
All right.
Just to have an event base on the SS2, we have Full House, about 50 people. Not bad. It's a small space.
Right.
In Tokata Studio. But problem you can see, if you just depend on the physical launch, it's just 50 people.
Correct.
Whereas online, it's just next morning it was 30,000. I was like, wow, 30,000 people just watch this thing that we have produced. You know, and then now it's kind of like trickling, but it's keep on rising the number of people who watch it, because I think it's horror, so it's easier to market. So I think it's even though with this result, I didn't thought like we can just skip the physical screening, because I think the physical screening is important, because we try to bring the directors and the cast, so there's a Q&A session
Yeah.
after each.
Which is more valuable.
Yes, it's valuable, and also it's important because too much audience, many local audience in Malaysia will only watch films in cinemas and then they go home.
Yeah.
But I think to actually promote local films, you need to engage them with the directors. So
But actually, if you talk about any film viewer, right, they will watch a movie, they go home, obviously, because they have nothing else to watch. But the moment we reach home, we'll go into the website to talk, to look into more about the movie,
behind the
more
scenes,
about the scenes, behind, more about the story that
Yeah.
we've just watched.
Yeah.
We'll pick up the making of, which was, the staple of our days. Last time I remember we would stay up late at night just because, there's a making of a certain movie, and we will buy the making of books, we will buy the comic books. These are all the things. At the end of the day, I think Kevin Smith got it right. That today, we want to talk about the stories that we are watching, rather than just watch it for the sake of watching and then switch off. He was saying like Walking Dead. There were so many people watching Walking Dead at that particular premiere of each episode, but there was equally as many people staying back to listen to Talking Dead. Just because at that point they are talking about the episode that they have just watched. So it's no longer to a point whereby we are just watching it for the sake of watching it. I
Yeah.
think a lot of people are just watching it, at the same time they want to know more.
Yeah.
What went through the whole process? What was the making of all about? What was the director thinking about it? So that pretty much helped. I think right now, if you were to touch like 50, in one hall, eventually you should be able to touch maybe 100, maybe 200, or could be 1,000.
Correct.
The next following sitting. Do you feel that would be something that's viable on a long-term basis?
This physical screening, yeah, it's viable as long as we have enough resource and time, because I don't want to like
Right now, it's not enough to cover the cost reduction.
even the YouTube one, there's no coverage of course. It's just that since we are doing this, we need to make sure there's enough audience to exposure of it.
Right.
So that's worth our time to do something even for free online. So then we bring it to these colleges and festivals, so to also like introduce the back to the fact that people want to discuss the stories, but it's much more interesting when they can discuss and comment with the people who make it live on the spot. So that's why I always encourage people to do that, which is what I've been doing on my own for the past 10 years on my smaller films. I bring them to schools when I talk, and I show them and that. But I always felt like it's not enough reach. Each sitting is about 50 or 30 students, and you engage them, and hopefully like 10 of them will understand cinema better. But now I think with YouTube, yeah, so both goes hand in hand. It cannot be neglected. So there's the physical world, real life activities going on. So we know that it's not just online and static, and as the real world people watching it, they know, oh, it's available online. It's also something that's going on. Like, it's interesting. It's both sides, because I think eventually, I'm not sure if we're gonna go into a future where we'll live in a world like Matrix, but the real world and the internet world is slowly creeping
Converging,
into each other in terms of even business. Because people ask me, how do I monetize this? The ads. But if you count the ads, it's impossible for what I do.
Impossible.
If you're a vlogger, yes, you
Yeah.
make those money. But if you're not, it's impossible. But then I need to look elsewhere to monetize what I'm doing here, which I still haven't figured out yet. But I think that's what I'm interested about, to how to kind of do this. Okay, maybe eventually it could be all online. That's where all the money come from. I don't know yet, but kind of like looking at models and how other people are doing stuff. But what I'm really inspired is a lot of the musicians on YouTube. They're doing very well because they managed to cut out the middleman, the labels, thanks to YouTube. They sell their downloads on their own. They sell their merchandise. Some of them don't even do concerts, and they just do it in their small hometown. And when they make it, like they got it viral, they're really popular. They just like do what they love and they make money out of it. I think that's great. I think that's actually what I'm looking for, rather than I want to be like a multi-millionaire, like some startup founder. No, I am more interested in like doing something I love and enough to sustain and make a little bit living out of it. But if it's more than that, it's great. So I think the musician at the moment is doing very well. Most of them, especially in UK and US, you know, they sing, they do covers, and sometimes they compose. They even do their own MV, and it's so interesting because now they cut off the middleman and label. They don't tell them what they should do.
Yeah.
A lot of time we know once somebody signs up to a label, they sucks. They say, oh, this song is too long, the radio don't want to play this. This MV is too dark, you know, like the kids. And a lot of these people who make this decision doesn't really know what the market wants. They don't do even enough research. It's proven in the music industry. Most of these young kids now on YouTube, you know, they're doing so well without the giant marketing machine behind them. It's because they do what they want and they got connected to their audience, and they retain what they're best, and they got more room for experimentation, which usually you don't in a commercial industry. Yeah, no R&D, no experimentation, and that's why it's always stagnant. And always an artist who's great. You know, that this myth that, oh, an indie filmmaker go to studios, they only make shit films, which is quite true because you are actually working under a system that doesn't let you explore much, you see. So when you're doing smaller films on your own, you have so many space, you know. It doesn't mean you will have a box office, it doesn't mean it will work, but there's always space to get new things, you know. And I think that's, if an entrepreneur or a producer is smart, he should be looking at those. Because eventually all songs and books and creative product, right, involve arts. How can you deny the space and rights to experiment and to take risks and to do R&D? Because arts is about that. And once you find something, then you package it and see how you're going to market it. You know, it's not about, oh yeah, he's famous for doing this, come join us, you know, and you can't do this anymore, because I don't think the audience would take this, you know. I think a lot of those sneakers, skateboard sneakers, if I'm not wrong, they used to start out very underground and alternative.
Oh yeah.
Like nobody wants them.
Nobody wants.
It was a very specialized shop in some small part of the city in the US. It's like a very close community, and it's thanks to just some fashion critics, or I don't know who saw it. That's cool, and then they start wearing it.
Yeah.
And it become a pop.
Then it start to expand from there.
Yeah. Now the skateboarders doesn't want it because it's so mainstream. You know, you can even get it in Walmart. So I think that's the thing, because and why it happened, because somebody actually looked at those things. Because a normal consumer wouldn't go to that part of town if I'm not a skateboarder, and wouldn't bother, like, what is it? It looks low class, you know.
Yeah.
So I guess this shows the difference between an entrepreneur and a consumer. Because entrepreneur, by right, if you're an investor or you're a producer or you're a boss, you should be looking at those really like niche stuff, weird stuff, you know, and find a way to package and market it. You know, but the fact is, like, back to the point, like, if you're not Reebok, then don't do it.
Correct.
It's a dumb question, because Reebok starts somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, even Nike
Yeah.
first started with just one pair of shoes.
Yes.
That was whereby the sole was made of rubber
By himself.
and a waffle maker.
Is he a waffle maker?
Yeah, he made a sole using a waffle maker.
Okay.
That was it.
Yeah.
You
But
know?
still, I must say they got it wrong. They got the whole running shoes wrong, man.
They've gone through. Well, they were right at one point.
Okay.
Then eventually, when the business started to become a whole lot more commercialized, right? Then now it's a completely different business entirely.
Now they go back to the soleless, like tin sole shoes, you know, because they got all this thing wrong. But the thing is that, everybody starts somewhere, and it's always about R&D, creative, which I think, like now that's what I'm doing, you know. The filmmaking part is not that complicated. It's the business part. Now I need to find how to make it more, so more people can watch these films, and later on, how do I need to kind of find fundings for this project? It could be like a grant or something, you know, sponsorship. I have no idea yet, but I'm going to do it by end of this year and see where it goes.
Okay, so before we wrap up the show, what would be the top 3 things you would like to share with a new and aspiring someone who wants to pick up filmmaking as a career?
Okay, I wouldn't say you should. In today's world, I don't think you should just say, I want to make filmmaking as my career, you know, because there's too many choices.
Right.
You should do filmmaking as a hobby, as something you love first. I think we're already gone beyond the era where, like our father, you do the job because of survival, because you need to make a living. You know, today we have really much more choice. We are not at war. I mean, petrol price is still reasonable. Like, we still can afford to pump. You know, you don't have to worry about your next meal.
Despite the fact that it's just been increased by 20 cents. Technology is getting cheaper. Most of them have laptops and at least a camera phone or DSLR.
do it as something you love first, because that's very important thing that why I think a lot of business fail or become stagnant is that they do it for the money. They don't do it because they love the goddamn thing that they're doing it, or they're interested in doing that thing. Do it as a hobby first, and then find out whether do you really want to continue with this, because you might halfway you might say, oh shit, it's actually troublesome, nobody watch my film, I want to quit. So do it, if you want to start, do it a hobby first, because the thing is like you already got all this set up. Unlike last time, if you want to do it, you have to be a professional, because you have to go, get in touch with the right people to get those big ass equipment. But now I think it's way easier. You're doing a show now with this camera. I mean, last time it'd be crazy to even imagine doing that. And I think do it as something you love first, and second of all is just do it, because movie is not about talking.
Yeah, it's about the story.
No, it's about doing.
All right.
Yeah,
okay.
It's not about reading. I mean, I read a lot.
Yeah.
But if I read a lot, I talk a lot with my friends. If I don't physically go and make it, there'll be nothing.
Yeah.
That's the important thing that some of the famous directors said. Film making is not just talk. Yes, it involves a lot of talking and writing, because that's a part of the process. But it's not just about writing and talking. It's about making it. The making part is always the toughest part, because you literally need to organize people, set aside your date, come up with a bit of money, look for sponsors, then you deal with schedules with actors.
The management part.
Yeah, then you set up a tripod, cameras, battery problems, and all this stuff, right? And that's the toughest part too,
Yeah.
And but you have to go through that. If not, your product will never come out.
Right.
It's like your bag. If you don't start stitching, right?
Yeah.
You'll be just still sketches.
Yep.
And you still, hey, I got this.
And you will
really
never
good,
figure out whether the bag is
will
designed
work,
correctly,
correct.
ergonomically or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have some solid to prove and test, And thirdly of all, once you have something out, product out, and I think this day is so much easier, put it online. You do your own marketing, you get invited yourself, and you get audience feedback immediately. I mean, last time we have to
Build
organize.
a fan for yourself first.
Last time we have to organize our own screening. It was
Yeah.
tough. You find a venue, you find a projector. Last time it's like big ass projector that's damn expensive to rent, like 1,000 over per night. And then you have to get audience, you get press, you print leaflet, and you go to all the schools and pass. Then 30
It
people.
costs so much
Yeah,
more back
yeah,
then.
and then 30 people will show up. Yeah, but we love it because people actually turn up.
Yeah.
But now I think it's different. Now you can go online, and your film's gonna be online until you take it out. So more people have more time to access your work, and you get more quality feedback. And trolls, which is part of parcel on your work. And the good thing about this whole digital online era is like, if somebody like your work, it gets picked up by it, and you get your break. Compared to last time, we had to go through a lot of red tapes and hierarchy, just a script level, to get to the guy who made the decision. It's like bullshit. Now you're dealing with straight your audience and your fans, if they like your stuff. And if generate enough viral hits and interest, right, I think the people who's in the business would take a look, and then they'll know who you are. I think that's what how name is work.
Yeah.
It was that, and then here, and people know him. So there's this opportunity, which I think filmmaking is actually tough as a process, but it's easier now compared to 10 years ago, because you control your product and you control your distribution. Yeah.
Okay. So final question: Where do you feel you are right now? Zero or hero?
Zero.
Back to zero again, like you said.
Yeah, back to big zero. So yeah.
You feel that it's gonna be something that how long do you think this
Zero will
term of zeroness
will.
would how much time are you giving yourself?
I think I'm gonna this channel is gonna be a long-term project. I think in another like maximum 1 more year, if I could not figure out how to monetize it or make it so it can self-sustain, then I may still do what I do, but maybe I'll slow down. Then I can't produce like a network channel where they got a budget to allocate. Then I need to take it more like a hobby, and do it more in a longer space. But it will be always around. It's something that I think is worth keeping online because it's there. But yeah, 1 year. If it's not working, then I gonna do something else and find another. I don't know. I make bags. I know I'm just joking, but yeah, then I'll try to find something else, because like you say, correct. Today is the thing of getting the business is very easier, and because all the info and even trainings and step by step, it's all online on YouTube, and it's a matter of like, if you want to try it and which one you like and which one you want to do, like for me, I just learned the whole After Effects thing online.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not an effects person. You know, I know how to operate Photoshop, Illustrator, and I know how to edit. But I was never an effects person until like last year. I learned all the stuff from Freddie Wong, Digital Corridor, and Film Riot. And now I operate AE, and I can do simple composition and stuff.
Right.
So I was very impressed because the fact, gosh, everything is out there now. It's a matter of fact, do you want to learn it?
Yes.
You know, this is no longer like I need to go to a college, take a course, pay this much amount of money, and most likely you don't learn anything, and then you just got the diploma that means nothing these days. You know, I'm not sounding a bit like I'm not saying education is not important, but I think nowadays that piece of paper is getting more and more.
The value is diminishing.
Yeah, unless you are going to
work for a company or commercial sector.
A teaching job.
Oh, it could be, yeah.
Yeah, you plan to teach, yes, the PhD and all this means a lot. But if you're not, I think a lot of things now is about the end product.
Yes.
How you have spent your time and deliver something out, and that matters more, you know. Because when people buy your product, I mean, I want to ask you, hey, do you have a diploma in or certain like stitching or bag design? I mean, no, I mean like that doesn't mean I go and buy a bag because hey, this guy's not from even fashion, you know, and he's doing bag, I don't trust him. You know? No, it doesn't go that way these days. It's all about the end product, and how you get to end product is very interesting because you don't have to go through a proper school anymore. But I'm not saying like you undercut school, but you can afford it, you go to school. But you can't, everything's online. It's a matter of how innovative that particular individual is.
Okay. All right, so thank you very much for your time. Is there anything you want to plug before we wrap up? I know 3 Doors of Horror is available on YouTube.
Yes, available on YouTube. So you can just like go to YouTube and search for 3 Doors of Horror or Doghouse73 Pictures. We are developing more short films. By end of this year, we might have an action-packed short films. And
I saw some of the photos of
yes,
of the choreography work and all that.
And I've just opened another channel. It's called Doghouse73 TV. That's where I'm gonna develop a web series. So now I'm developing a English web series, which is very tricky because we never have a proper English program in TV too. You know, rarely you get something you watch and you don't cringe. You know, so it's very challenging. And I'm working on the script now with one of my friends. So I think it's exciting now because now I don't have to get past certain people to get something approved to do.
Right. Okay.
And I can do it in a small scale. If it doesn't work, like 3 Doors of Horror, it doesn't work. Right? Like the response is so bad, I don't do it. I don't do it next year. But now it's good, so I will continue it. So I think that's the beauty of YouTube because now there's so much space for me to try out new things, work with new people, without the risk of like it doesn't work, I have to sell my house. You know?
Don't sell your house. Okay, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, nice talking to you, man.
All right, thank you.
WAM is short for wearemalaysianmade.com. It's a website. It's a place where anyone can share about anything creative that's going on in Malaysia. Everything from short films, full-length features, mainstream, independent, music, comic books, writing, illustration, anything. Music, don't forget music. It's a place where a bunch of people who are practitioners in the scene, in their own scene from music and all that, and they share about everything that's going on, whether it's their own projects or other people's. Wham is actually born out of like the phoenix rising from the ashes, born out the death of the original idea, which was ifilmindie.com, and it was a company that I wanted to try and start to do indie style events, focusing on indie content, you know, and there was a big demand for it when I tried to do it back in 2000, even back in 2006, 2007. And the idea was to generate income from organizing events for clients, so it works for them because this content there's a demand for it. At the same time, I provide exposure for the indie artists, and hopefully with the profit that I generate from these clientele, I will then pour into creating even more content. That's what I wanted to do with ifilmindie.com. But after 8-9 months of pushing, and certain leads never came about, I decided I needed to get a job. So I went and got a job and thought to myself, I have all this content with me, I have all this information and all these connections and emails that kept coming in. Instead of just dying, I decided to put all this into a website. And my girlfriend came up with the idea of naming it wearemalaysianmade.com. It has a nice ring to it, WAM for short. And that's what I eventually become. And today, I'm lucky enough to have a lot of other volunteers to help me share more information, and people still keep coming in. So I'm quite happy with it right now. The thing about WHAM was, because it was born out of the death of something else, there was literally no expectation for it. I just wanted to make use of all the content that I already had within me, you know. Then as we evolved, it became a medium where people who were up and coming needed help, and there were other people like venues and all that asking me if I had content to share with them. So I just became a conduit, and I said, you got a new album you want to launch? I got a venue looking for an act. I put them both together, and magic happens, you know. So eventually that's what WHAM became, a conduit. Now I'm on this rampage to find more mavericks of the scene, you know, people who are doing stuff regardless of whether they have income from it or not, and they're chasing their dream, right? These people, I'm looking for them to come and share what they're doing on WHAM. The way I look at it, if WHAM becomes the place where everybody and anybody who is doing something creative in Malaysia just decide to share what they're doing, and it all happens in one place, there's a community that can be created, you know, another wave of community, instead of everyone just trying to focus on doing their own thing. So I'm hoping WHAM becomes that place where everyone can get together, share what they're doing, and kind of help each other grow. That's what I want WHAM to be right now. My name is Michael Chen. I am the founder of WHAM. I am also an actor, I'm a producer, I'm a creative arts activist. Anything creative that goes on in Malaysia, I want to know about it, I want to share about it.